Sazināsimies ar Īriju. Pirmais runātājs būs no Īrijas, un, kā man tehniskie cilvēki teica, mums esot kādas 30 sekundes, kamēr tas notiek, ja? Tā kā šobrīd uzmanību ekrānam gaidām. Mēs esam sazvanījuši Īriju. Esam šobrīd. Un mēs runāsim ar Džonu Līču, kurš ir Īrijas ūdens drošības asociācijas izpildirektors un ir Īrijā tāda jauna programma Nacionālā Noslīkšanas Prevencijas Stratēģija no 2018. līdz 2027. gadam. John, good morning. Do you hear us? We don't know. We don't hear you. We will fix some problems. Your microphone is on, yes?
Good morning. Good morning.
Oh, yes, now we hear you.
Very much for having me to your conference this morning. Really looking forward to it.
So before you start your speech, maybe tell us about weather in Ireland now. Is it very good for swimming?
It is beautiful at the moment. A lovely, lovely morning, bright sunshine, and of course, open water swimming has become very, very popular in Ireland. So there'll be lots of people swimming this morning.
Okay, now the floor is yours. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very much. And if you feel I'm speaking too fast at any stage, please let me know, because the Irish tend to speak a little too fast at times. And so don't be afraid to stop me. So our first slide here is basically giving a quick overall view of Ireland. It's about twice the size maybe of Latvia, but it's got a lot more coastline. It's got a lot of inland waterways of lakes, rivers, canals, and it also has many blue flag beaches. So it's ideal for swimming, outdoor swimming particularly, or open water swimming. Somebody else got control of my slide, because I don't seem to have to move my slide. Oops, sorry, oops, got it now. Yeah, just a bit of a delay there. Sorry about that. Okay, statistics. So on average, 124 people will drown in Ireland each year. That's about more than 5 every fortnight. 8 out of the 10 drownings are male, so the majority are male, and 6 out of 10 occur at inland water sites. So the majority happen in inland waterways. 30 children aged 14 and under drowned in the last 10 years. Again, 8 out of 10 take place within the home. In other words, very close to a home. That's what we find in Ireland from all our research. It
Mr. Līčs,
quite close to the home.
Mr. Līčs, yes? I'm sorry. Could you please share your screen, because we don't see it.
Sorry, I thought you had it. My apologies. Okay, have you got it there now? Can you see the screen? Oh, let's try again. Can you see it now? Excellent. Okay, my sincerest apologies on that. You haven't missed a huge amount, don't worry. But I must keep going, because I got quite a lot of slides to go through to try and give you an overall picture of our whole drowning prevention strategy in Ireland. So, as I said, alcohol is a factor then in 1/3 of all drownings. And the main pursuits that account for the highest number of accidental drownings are bathing. Then, of course, we have boating, walking, and then fishing. So now I'm just, again, I'm having a difficulty here with my slide. It's not moving. Not sure why. Since I shared it with you, I seem to have lost control of my slide. Yeah, but I need my next slide, but I'm not getting to it for some reason. Once I share the screen, I seem to lose control of it. So my apologies there. I don't know what's happened. Let me see if I can address this. It's just not allowing me to move my slide forward. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be very slow. I've got so many slides. Okay, let me see if I can try again. Okay, this is going to be very laborious. I thought I would be able to move my slides without having to do that. Not sure what's happening here, but I'm not getting my, I've tried clicking from the screen as well. Let me just see if I can do a share again. No. Yeah, I can't. Oh, there, okay, I have it. I have it. It's a bit slow, but it's working. So in the last 10 years, we lost, as I said, 124 people in the last decade. That's the average over the decade. But also you can see that there is a decline the whole time. So thankfully, drownings are reducing, but it is slow work and it takes a lot of time. We were just on our own organization. It's called Water Safety Ireland. We were established in 1945. We are a statutory body, which is unusual for a swimming and life-saving federation. We're also a registered charity, and we also have very strong links with the local authorities. So we have a water safety development officer in each county in Ireland. And obviously then we're the national governing body for life-saving sport. Right, there is no silver bullet to prevent drownings, and so you need many, many bullets to try and address drowning. So I like this triangle because I think it explains quite a lot, and it's a simple thing. Here in the lower part of the triangle, you can see that's where you save the greatest number of lives in prevention, and yet it's not so, shall we say, sexy. It's not so, the media are not so interested. Then obviously you have rescue, which you have lifeboats and lifeguards, and then treatment, obviously, then in hospitals. Our body, we are lucky in that we have a lot of government recognition because we have a lot of respect. It's taken us a long time. I'm now 20 years working with the organization, and it's taken us a long time to be accepted by a lot of other government agencies. But this Marine Safety Working Group is an important one that it meets about 4 times a year. The National Search and Rescue Coordination Committee, it also meets about 3 times a year. We have a government task force on emergency planning, very important from when we have storms, when we have heat waves, and how, as a nation, we respond to them. To give you an idea of the number of people, of bodies that we are dealing with, and this is what's so important about drowning prevention, you have to include all of society. You cannot work in isolation, and just because you are good at teaching swimming, that is all you do. You must engage with other organizations to keep drowning prevention at the top of the national agenda, and particularly with the media. So beware of that swimming and life-saving trap is what I would say to you. So our mission, very simply, is through education, training and action, we will foster a culture that encourages safer attitudes, very important, and behaviors, very important, in all those who live, work and play on or near water in Ireland. So that's our mission. The 5 pillars of our strategic development plan, I'm just going to go through them very quickly. You've got education is the first one, awareness is the second one, training is the third one, intervention is the fourth one, and then action is the fifth one. I'm not going to go into these because we'll do this throughout our entire presentation. So we have within our government, our Department of Education accepted a syllabus for our primary schools in 2003. And since then, we've been teaching water safety in our schools. So there are 4 modules that the teacher can teach and deliver in the classroom. And then the other ones, which are 8, they are taught then in the swimming pool by swim teachers and life-saving instructors. And so as a result, we have increased the awareness of water safety education, but also the skills of swimming and very basic life-saving. We have 2 education development officers who are employed full-time in our office, and they help to deliver this course throughout the country. And so last year alone, 44,000 certificates were issued. Also, then we operate in the universities and in the institutes of technology, where, for instance, courses like leisure management, there will be students will be taught to be swim teachers and life-saving instructors as part of their overall degree course. Excuse me. And then also I mentioned that we have in Ireland, which has been very successful, except for this year, the first time since 1945, where we've over 210 water safety weeks, and that's where we're teaching swimming on rivers, lakes and beaches. And we've been doing that since 1945, and it is very, very popular. And some of our the classes of these weeks, they call them, will have over 500 children learning to swim in open water. It takes quite a bit of organization, but it is very, very successful. And then obviously in the winter, we have our usual programs in the swimming pools. Obviously this year with the COVID, it's much more challenging because fewer people can go into the swimming pool. To awareness, I'll just play this. If you listen to the voice.
As we look to the new year ahead, light a candle for the young and old, the dreams that died, the families devastated, for all those who lost their lives in the last year to drowning. Always wear a life jacket on water, and remember, learning to swim, learning a life-saving skill saves lives.
Okay, some of you might recognize that voice, a particular Irish actor who has starred in many movies. So he came on board to help us to run that advert, and he's done some other work with us as well, obviously for free gratis as we're a charity. This is another thing that we do then every year. We have a National Water Safety Awareness Week, and it's normally the 2 weeks before the children break up from school, before they go on their holidays. And we focus in on trying to raise awareness again in the schools, but also to the media and social media. And it's become very, very popular now and quite successful. Moving on, if I can, I think my screen has frozen yet again. Not sure why. Yeah, it's okay. There we go. There's another one which is just an advert on a billboard for a swimming pool. You can see that schools are out, in other words, we're out of the schools, but learning isn't. In other words, get them to swim safe this summer and learn in the swimming pools. We have also worked with the families of drowned victims, and they have been very, very helpful in raising the stories of drowning and how to prevent drowning within the media, within the newspaper media. This is the national newspaper in Ireland. And that then tends to bring on opportunities to go into radio stations and on the TV stations running these stories. And they are also very popular because it's a human story, you know, and people like to hear about these things. This is one we ran many years ago, which was very popular in our bars. As you can see, named the silent Irish killer. No, it's not obviously the sharks. We don't have man-eating sharks, but what we do have is the water. And that 30% of a third of all people who drown will have consumed alcohol. We have a lot of, because we're an island nation with a lot of rivers and lakes, angling is obviously very, very popular. And so whilst, you know, people can learn to swim and do even life-saving skills, but what we find is swimmers particularly, about 90% of all the people who drown in Ireland can swim. Now, definition of swimming is another argument which I'm not going to go into on this presentation, but they will say that they can swim and their family will tell you that they were able to swim. And this is why we insist that people wear life jackets, because we suffer from very, very strong winds and tidal streams. This was one that I mentioned earlier on. It went quite viral, it was very popular. Each year with the Coast Guard and the Royal National Lifeboat Institute, that's for the lifeboats, some of the lifeboats, we have an annual life jacket survey. And it's been really successful that over the years, 20 years ago, maybe 20%, 25% of people would have worn a life jacket. And now 8 out of 10 children wear their life jackets and 7 out of 10 adults wear their life jackets. And this is one of the reasons why the drownings are going down, because you can be an Olympic swimmer, but if you get caught off in the west coast in a rip current and get pulled out, the chance of your survival is very, very small without a life jacket. We also do a lot of risk assessments, and by having safety information boards at all the bathing areas is really important, explaining that there are rip currents here, or that there's a zoned area for the swimming. I'm sure you do something similar yourselves. We all use the ISO 7010. That's the International Standards Organization standard for signage. Very important, because then when somebody goes to Latvia, for instance, goes to any other country, the same signage should be used. And then in Europe, we can all understand this signage, and that's really important. That's just another example of the kite surfing, which is very popular. These are just a quick few shots. These are two Olympic medalists in rowing who are very funny characters, and they do a lot of work with us for trying to get people to wear life jackets and to learn swimming and life-saving skills. That's another one here as a TV program. And then this is another very important aspect of the work that we do. So we have volunteers who go around and they do risk assessments on bathing areas, but also places where people have drowned. And they will, we use the International Life-Saving Federation of Europe, their format, if you like, their template for the risk assessments, and they all have been trained to that standard. And as you can see, we do risk assessments in all kinds of places, even golf courses, urban developments, you know, housing estates, the national parks, shopping centres, reservoirs, quarries. So it's very important because that's really improved the signage and the amount of public rescue equipment that we used. So in terms of training, we have, last year there was 47,000 or so swimming and life-saving certificates issued to members of the public. We also run health and safety awareness courses for people who work near water. So, and that has been increasing year by year. It's not mandatory, but at least we're getting more government agencies and others people who do work on water. And you'd be surprised, a lot of them, when they come to us, they don't understand most of the risks around the environment they're actually working in. And worse than that, they don't know how to operate a life jacket properly. And so it's really important that they get some training. So that's becoming more and more important. Also, then each year we teach about 1,200 lifeguards, trained and qualified, and about 850 of these beach lifeguards will be tested for service to operate in our rivers, lakes and beaches. And they will be employed then by the local authorities in each county. And then about 400 in total will actually make the standard. Last year alone, in terms of intervention on the beaches with the lifeguards, there were 649 rescues. That's a lot of rescues. 663 children were reunited with their parents or their guardians. So supervision is a big problem we find all the time. And every child drowning can really be put down to lack of proper supervision. And then accidents prevented was 29,682. And in terms of first aid administration, which would normally be jellyfish stings, weaverfish stings, those sort of injuries, that's the first aid that would have been administered. So we have life-saving sport. When I came to this organization 20 years ago, we had one weekend a year where we had a competition, and that was it. So you can see last year we had 22 competitions, and the sport has really taken off. It's a really exciting sport. It's very enjoyable for the members of the public to watch because it creates a very carnival atmosphere on the beach. And so we have competitions for the nippers, juniors, seniors, and the masters. And we did host the European Junior Championships in 2018. We have a lot of publications and posters and leaflets, and this is just a quick sample of hypothermia, which obviously is an issue in Ireland, as it would be in Latvia as well. We issue those they go to the schools, they go to all the clubs, rowing clubs, sailing clubs, anybody who's operating and enjoying an aquatic environment, the surf schools, they use them. These ring buoys that you see here, this is a man being rescued in a real life rescue by 3 young boys in a boat. It was taken by a photographer in Limerick some years ago. So we have somewhere like maybe about 60,000 of these ring buoys, which are very inexpensive, all over Ireland, and they save people every month. So somewhere around 20 to 30 lives are saved every year. This year, because of the COVID, with more people holidaying at home, we're almost at 40 lives have been saved by these ring buoys, which are at our bathing areas, our designated bathing areas, or at public quays like that, or places where the public are at risk. And that goes back to what I explained about a risk assessment. So the risk assessor comes, does a risk assessment, makes recommendations to the local authority, and then the local authority put those ring buoys up, and they are brilliant public rescue equipment, very inexpensive, and yet are saving lives every month. Obviously, we have difficulty at times with interference with ring buoys. with people who are drinking too much, come out of a nightclub at night or whatever, and then they throw them into the river or throw them into the harbour. But the police have made prosecutions, and even one person was in prison for 3 months, another for 5 months. So we do take it pretty seriously. So much so that our members and a whole lot of members of the public signed a big petition in 2017. I think it was nearly 18,000 signatures to our government to say that we want a specific legislation to prosecute people who interfere with ring buoys, defibrillators, AEDs, lifeguard huts, lifeboat stations. And so they're suggesting there'll be up to a 50,000 fine for this, or 5 years in prison. So they are taking it a lot more seriously. And as you can see, there are many, many uses of a ring buoy in Ireland. This is a donkey being saved, and this is a deer in a park, in a national park, with a ring buoy around its antlers. We're using more and more modern technology. This is a thermal imaging camera that we have in a river in Galway in the west of Ireland. And essentially, as somebody falls in or jumps in the case of self-harm off the bridges upstream, the person will come down and you will see them like this. You see on the screen there, that's a person lying in the water that the camera picks up. It immediately sends a signal to the police. The police then notify the fire brigade, and then they also notify the lifeboat, which comes along then and rescues the person. And so this system is being used successfully in the west of Ireland. Another one of our roles is the community rescue boats. There are 15 stations nationwide, and essentially we are tasked with reducing the value-added tax, the VAT, on their running. So once they pass all the correct standards, we then give them 23%. They will refund in VAT. So things have improved in Ireland. In the 1970s, there was only 14 lifeboats. There were 3 single-engine Air Corps helicopters, and we relied on our neighbours to help us with our search and rescue. Now today, we have 59 RNLI lifeboats. We have 15 of the community rescue boats. There's 22 surf rescue boats on the beaches now, and we have now 4 big search and rescue helicopters with more cliff rescue teams. So the search and rescue resource has increased hugely. I'm going to finish up with this slide. Essentially, this is Ireland has finally agreed that it must produce a marine spatial plan for the next 20 years. And so Water Safety Ireland, our organisation, have been involved in that and has now, if you like, has inbuilt safety, water safety and marine safety into all planning that will happen from now on. And that, again, will help reduce drowning. So, as I said at the beginning, there is no silver bullet. You need lots and lots of bullets to reduce drowning in Latvia. And these are just a sample of how we do it here in Ireland. And I hope that in some way it can be helpful. This is a famous beach on the west coast of Ireland, LEECH. And as you can see, in the winter, we get very, very big storms. So if you have any questions, I'd gladly take them. Otherwise, you can see my email address there. You can write to me or give me a phone call. And I'll be too glad to discuss any queries or issues that you might have as a follow-up. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you. I hope you hear us. We have some questions, Mr. Līčs.
Okay.
Okay, just a second. So how many people work in your team?
So the full-time employees, we have 8 full-time employees, but then we have 5,500, nearly 6,000 volunteers, and they are the real strength of our organization. We just try and help them. We support, our job is to support our volunteers. They teach the swimming. Although we're not, for instance, the national governing body for swimming in Ireland, we teach more people to swim than they do, than Swim Ireland does, because they're obviously more focused on, European championships, world championships. So it's the volunteers who are our real strength, not our staff.
Mm-hmm. And is the government involved into the drowning prevention strategy, and what is their role?
Okay, their role was very, very small, very little, but they were willing to endorse it, and that's what was so important. And so we spoke with the other organizations like the Royal National Lifeboat Institute and also with the Coast Guard and other national governing bodies who deal with aquatic sports. And over a period of a few years, they decided that, well, you're probably the best organization to put this together, because the RNI didn't want to do it, the Coast Guard didn't want to do it, and nobody was doing it. And yet the World Health Organization, as you know, have been saying to us, you must have the National Drowning Prevention Strategy. So we just put this together. We discussed it with all those bodies that I mentioned, and then we got their support, and then we went to the government and said, Minister, we want to launch this, and we want you to endorse it. So we got a government minister to launch it, and we have had the buy-in from that big list of names that I put up there earlier on in the slideshow, to try to explain to you that you have to involve communicating with a lot of people to get them thinking about water safety and get them involved in drowning prevention.
Thank you. And there's one more question about the winter swimming and winter training. What do you do to teach winter training programs? Okay,
our winter training programs, they are all based in the swimming pools at present, and so there's two running parallel: pure swimming, okay, and then life saving is a little separate to that, with different instructors teaching the life saving. And the idea is that we will have trained enough pool lifeguards for the leisure industry, and also then trained enough beach lifeguards and river lifeguards for next summer, because every year it is a challenge to make sure you have really good, strong, fit lifeguards capable of, rescuing members of the public on our beaches. And so they need to be in training really throughout the winter to ensure that they're at a suitable standard to be able to function properly as a lifeguard.
Thank you. Few more questions here, or no? Paldies, as we say in Latvia. Thank you, and have a great day. Thank you, Mr. Līčs.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.